Jake catches a chill as the house grows cold. Liza stares into a mirror cracked and old. Rob holds a camera that's shaking in his hands. Jen's heart sank like hourglass sands.
Liza, what you got?
Liza, let's finish up with you.
Well,
What do you got for us?
Well, my movie is.
Go ahead and tell us what you got tonight. What is
not
it?
as iconic.
Go ahead and bring it on.
It's not as iconic.
Come on, tell
or
us.
as in depth as yours, but it's Crawl. I love Crawl.
Crawl.
Taking us back
Crawl
to the water
is
again.
Going back to the water. Okay.
I really loved this movie. I just think it's a really good man versus beast or woman and man versus beast movie. I get terrified by hurricanes and what can be outcomes of hurricanes. And even though it is about an alligator and things like that, but it's about a girl, and in Florida, and there's a really, really bad hurricane that's going to come, and so she goes to get her dad. Her dad's played by Barry Pepper, and she's a
Barry
swimmer.
Pepper. I like Barry Pepper.
He's
I'm
pretty
gonna be
cool.
honest. I like Barry Pepper. Something about
Yeah.
that guy. He's very wholesome to me, or something.
Yeah,
I enjoy some Barry Pepper.
yeah. And there's
I
a
like
dog.
saying his name too.
Yeah, he does have a really cool name. And there's a dog as well, and there's just, I think it captures a lot of just the anxiety and just terror that comes with a hurricane and what can come out of it, such as an alligator. And
It's interesting too because this one is an alligator, and normally they're crocodiles. Like almost every
Yeah.
horror movie with that kind of whatever is usually a crocodile. This is
Yeah.
an alligator. So
And-
you were right about that. Good job.
and alligators are actually really scary, because of how they kill you. Like they carry you down into. They don't just like eat you. They like carry you down into the depths with them, and you basically like drown to death.
Well, they do that like death roll shit too.
Yeah,
don't
the
they?
death roll. Yeah,
Where they like grab you and just spin around in a circle
Yes.
until you are like
I
just
think
completely.
that's more crocodiles, but I
Or-
think all crocodilians do that.
yeah.
Are they crocodilians
I don't
or
know.
alligatorians?
I think they're alligatorins.
Alligatorins?
See you later, alligatorins. But they were big. There were some friggin' big alligators. I always thought crocodiles were bigger than alligators, but those are some big ass alligators.
Yeah. And I also liked the father-daughter dynamic as well. Like they were kind of having a little bit of trouble, and I think in the end, like it kind of brought them closer together, and kind of built their relationship up as well. And of course, the dog survives at the end. But and that just really solidified it for me.
Liza literally picked this movie probably because the dogs are.
Hey,
Liza is that person.
I'm down with that, Liza.
Well, after the Gray and watching so many doggies get killed,
Those
I think this.
I don't feel bad in the Gray one bit because those were not domesticated dogs. Those weren't like Steve's pets. Those were like vicious, man attacking, serious like war machine dogs, man. And I feel like every dog that got it in that movie, which wasn't even that many, but honestly, like they gave better than they got, quite frankly.
Well,
So-
it was so scary. But just the whole, like, when they're in the water and you see, like, something come up and it's like, and the whole basement scene in Crawl, it's just so terrifying.
I've got to say something about the basement scene. And I watched it again with Kristen, my wife, a couple nights ago when I found out that you were going to do that one just to kind of brush up because I'd seen it before. Were they underneath, like, the Ritz-Carlton or something? That damn basement.
Oh yeah.
There were scenes where they were crawling for like minutes, and then they'd pan away, and it was like there was 100 yards down the other way, and I'm like, God dang, this is just a little house. Like,
You've never been in one of those little houses that's bigger on the inside?
they must have shared a basement with every other house in the damn cul-de-sac there because it was very comical. I started to notice that a little bit about midway through as the water was flooding up, and I was like, how big is this damn basement? My God. And then it was also extremely funny to hear, well, we're safe at this spot or go around this way. dude, you're not safe anywhere in there. There was a couple of pipes that, were kind of blocking a little bit of a way, but I didn't see four walls to block an
Yeah.
alligator from getting in. So there was a little bit of silliness. And then I don't care if you're Michael Phelps, you're not swimming past 4 or 5 gators across the damn open
They
water.
made a point
She
in the
did.
beginning of the movie to talk about how good of a swimmer she was.
Yeah.
I don't care if she had
exactly.
a rocket boost out of her ass. She's not getting past those damn things. But I mean, that's all part of the kind of suspense and
loved it.
everything. But yeah,
I
it was
loved it.
it was there
Sometimes
was
you need,
there was some funny stuff in it too.
sometimes you need a good kind of silly but good thriller alligator
It-
I
movie.
thought it was great.
It
the
was-
first time,
it
the
was
first time
great.
I saw it, I watched it with Liza, and we saw it together, and we both thought it was like just probably one of the better movies we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
It was really good.
You guys ever gotten a splinter in your finger or your hand before? And
Yeah.
every time you touch it, it's like, damn, that hurts. These guys literally were tore up by gators. I mean, like, bit in the shoulder, bit in the elbow, bit in the leg, bit here, bit there, and she's swimming and running and doing pull-ups and jumping jacks, and I'm like,
That's
okay,
that adrenaline, bro.
I
That
suppose.
adrenaline.
Exactly.
What did that adrenaline also coagulate her blood so she didn't have virtually any blood in that movie? Like there was no every time she was in the water swimming or anything. But maybe the funniest thing, and I hate to pick at the movie because it really was entertaining and I did enjoy it. But during the scene while she's trying to find her dad and she goes into um, maybe like the work slash apartment and then over to the house. It is torrential downpouring, and she's in a cotton hoodie. And every time she gets out of the car and walks gingerly to wherever she's going and gets inside, looks like the thing is bone dry. She just got like a little damp hair, like she got out of the shower 45 minutes ago, and she's towel drying. So I mean, she would have been soaked, dripping wet. And I thought that was kind of comical that they let her stay dry for the majority of it during those rain scenes.
She's
but-
got to look good.
She
When and
did.
if I ever make my movie, Steve, I literally need you on set just to make sure that all of my, like, I need you to be the guy standing over there, like, wait a second, dude, no, he would be so much more wet. I'm gonna go get a bucket of water, hold on, and just take care of it for me, okay?
I
I
That
need
can't
you to
help
be
it,
that
man.
guy.
The
Those are my
shower
bugaboos.
scene. The shower scene.
Oh, yeah,
was
that's
pretty
another
creepy. That was pretty scary though. I mean, I hate watching that movie because I'm always like,
I don't know if, well, first of all, I don't know how many times, like my grandmother I know on my dad's side had one of those little sliding shower glass things. That damn thing would come off the track if you breathed on it wrong. There's this
Yeah.
alligator bang, bang right up against this thing, and that baby's
Dude, I
holding down.
have one of those, and I have to adjust it like every 3 showers. Like I
Uh-huh.
have to put it back on the track.
Yeah, no, that was kind of funny, but it was cool. I mean, you can only do so much when you're trapped in a house like that. But yeah, there were when her sister's ex-boyfriend or whatever came to save him, and he's dangling over the water like hanging. I was like, dude, you're getting pulled in. What are you doing? But yeah, I'm glad the doggy didn't die. That's for sure. But it was entertaining. It was a fun watch.
especially when it was crawling through, like going swimming through the water, and you thought that the alligator was gonna get it. I was just like,
Mhm.
no.
Oh, that was the dog. I thought
Yeah,
you were
the
doing a
dog.
gator.
No,
I was
the
like, is this
dog
the
was like
gator?
swimming through the water like this.
Oh yeah, I remember that because you were like grabbing my arm. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
dog's not gonna make it.
And then the doggy didn't even get harmed.
Nope, no animals were harmed in the making of this movie.
So to go back to that really quick, because I've just been really kind of into this on the show lately, is that on the larger side of crocodile species, like the saltwater crocodile, they can reach lengths of 20 feet or more. The largest alligator species, the American alligator, typically grows to around 15 feet.
Wow.
I just wanted to and they were in Florida, so I would say that that's probably what you're looking at is one of those large American 15-foot alligators is probably what they had down there with them.
Yep.
So
And they were already in like almost like a bayou area anyway. I don't know if there's a Floridian bayou or not, but there were definitely plenty of gators around, as you saw once the water rose. I mean, there must have been 10 to 20 of them in that area.
dude, but Florida's like that.
I know.
And,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I
how
remember
many?
we went to Florida when I was a kid, man, and we were in like a very well populated like it was like a resort kind of place, man, and there was like a little lake, by the golf course, and there was gators hanging out by
Yeah,
that. I remember watching them when I was a kid.
yeah.
Well,
I
I
always
was
thought that was wild.
yeah. Well, fun fact about me, I actually lived in Florida,
That
and
makes a lot of sense. That makes a
I
lot of
lived in
sense.
Florida the last 2 years of high school, which does not. So I remember going to a bluegrass festival, and there was just this alligator just walking across the road, and we just had to wait for it to go, and that was pretty scary because it was
Yeah,
just it was right there.
they're kind of common down there, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like seeing alligators down there is like seeing like I don't know turkeys or something. Where we are, where every you see a turkey crossing the road here or there, or a couple hanging out in the field here or there. I mean, it's not like they're the most. That's why I picked turkeys. It's not like they're the most common thing,
Right.
but they're fairly common. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't go a year without seeing a couple random turkeys. You know, at least.
And living with alligators too, it's got to be a different mindset. I mean, I don't know how often. I'm sure Jake, I know with your studio and everything, you've got to go outside to get to it. And how many times have I been out back letting the dogs out in the middle of the night or something, just barefoot walking out there. I'm not worried about poisonous snakes or alligators or anacondas or anything like that. I mean, boa constrictors. I mean, I'm just out there taking the dogs out. But imagine if every time you're out and about, you've got to be wary. I mean, we hear of stories, and sadly, that elderly woman recently that got pulled in and taken when she was walking her
She
dog.
was saving her dog, right?
Well, she was
like,
walking
saved
her
her
dog,
dog
and it went to take her dog, and she tried to pull the dog back, and she, I think, fell in, and it took her with it, and
That's
just dragged
Liza
her in.
in like 40 years.
There was one woman that was recently, very very recently, within the past like week or so, like her and her husband were in a canoe, and the alligator was on the bank, and he came down and like hit the canoe, and like she fell in the water, and he killed her.
Mhm.
This is what I was telling Steve the other day because Steve sent me an article about something and it happened in Florida, and I was like, dude, like, he was like, I can't believe I never heard of that, and I was like, man, but you gotta understand, like in Florida, dude, like there's 700 crazy, unbelievable things happening every 20 seconds, man. Florida
Yeah.
is like, I used to watch this radio or watch. I used to watch the radio. I used to listen to this radio show where they had a segment about like, is this made up or did it happen in Florida or something like that? It was some kind of segment like that, and it was like, just the craziest crap happens in Florida, man. I don't know what it is down there. Maybe it's living with gators. Maybe it's something in the water. But
Right.
Florida is a crazy place.
And I guess out of all three movies too, I mean, if you're gonna go down in Alaska, yeah, maybe this would happen. And same thing with a big shark out in the ocean. Don't go in the ocean. But I mean, with the movie that Liza watched, that feels like the most realistic possibility out of all three. That I mean, you got no shot. I mean, that if something like that were to happen, that could have easily gone down that way. I mean,
Yeah.
you could be flooded out, and I think because the water rose so fast, even more than just the rain. I think he said something about a dam
Yeah.
might overflowing, and once it did, I mean, it was up to the dam roof. So at first, I was like, man, if they just get into the first floor, they're good. No, they had to go to the second floor, then to the roof and everything. So I can't imagine once again water everywhere and not being able to escape from that, and having creatures like alligators or crocodiles or sharks or whatever. No, that's got to be one of the worst things.
That was actually going to be one of my questions: is which one you thought would be the most realistic to happen, and you just answered that. And actually, I mean, honestly, I kind of probably agree. The more we talked about it, just because of the circumstances of each of them. I mean, I think that all three of those movies are fairly realistic as to they could happen.
Right.
I don't think sharks are as aggressive as Jaws made it out to be necessarily. Like, I don't think that they're like sharks. From everything that I understand about sharks, there really aren't as many shark attacks as we think there are. Sharks really aren't as bloodthirsty or vicious as we make them out to be. I'm sure something like that is possible. I mean, probably Jaws is the least likely of the three, quite honestly. Even though I love that movie. But yeah, I think Crawl. I would probably have to agree that Crawl is the most likely out of the three to probably happen in real life to you.
And that was a relatively recent one too, right? Only a couple of 3 or 4 years
Well, it
old.
was made in 2019.
Oh, 2019's been 6 years. Wow.
And,
Where has time gone by? I don't. Man.
No idea. However, I also think realistically the dog would have gotten it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, nobody would have survived all of that. I mean, those guys got ripped and pulled and bitten, and they would have bled out. I mean,
Barry Pepper, baby.
Barry Pepper lost an arm, and he wasn't even dripping blood out of it. He tied
Well,
the old tourniquet, and boom, I'm good to go. No blood here.
it's because you don't understand Barry Pepper, dude.
Yeah, he put a little pepper on it.
Barry Pepper. Yeah, I thought he did a fantastic job. I thought the movie was great. I actually really enjoyed Kaya Scodelario. Anybody? No. Anyway, Kaya, she was good too. The daughter, I think she did a great job. She was like the Michael Phelps of female swimmers in Hurricane, Florida. Pretty great. And
The apex predator.
and for this one, and I got another question I want to ask you guys, but I want to make sure before we wrap this up, I do what I always do here, and we had Alexander Aja, or Aja, was the director of this one, and it had 84% Rotten Tomatoes, so it actually did better than The Gray, surprisingly, but not as good as Jaws, and 6.1 IMDb, which I thought was kind of low. 84 is kind of higher than I thought it'd be, but IMDb is a little bit lower than I thought it'd be. This one had a budget of 13.5 million. Anyway, decent scores on this one. I think all three we picked have decent scores. And I was going to ask you guys, I watch a movie, I put myself in that situation, I get excited or whatever with the characters, I get scared with the characters. That's why I love movies. It's like magic to me. But which of these scenarios would you find the most frightening and why?
Who goes first?
Liza, give it to me, baby.
I'd probably say Jaws because I feel like with a wolf, like even if you did have to do like a Liam Neeson thing, or like I think they got Flannery, like he just kind of got ripped apart like in the middle of the snow. At least it's over pretty quickly. And
Albeit excruciating.
I mean, yes, it would, but it would be. Well, I mean, any one of these would be excruciating.
They'd all be very similar as far as just getting
Yeah.
torn apart by teeth.
Yeah, but you would still be on land, and even with the alligator, at least you have some, possibly anywhere. Even though if you would get pulled underwater, you would have at least some point of reference to where you would be. But with Jaws, and you're like getting pulled down into like the depths of like nothing, like that would just be terrifying to me.
That's a very good point. Steve, do you feel any differently? Or?
Not a bad point, but I'll tell you why you're wrong. So I would say The Gray for pretty much one reason, and it's three-headed. So with both Jaws and with Crawl, there is one antagonist in essence. It's the shark or it's the alligator. With being out in Alaska, you've got the possibility of freezing, you have no food, and you got a pack of wolves chasing you. So you have more than one way to go. I mean, if they were to somehow have gotten away from the wolves, they could have starved to death or frozen to death, especially falling into the water. So I felt like there were more hidden potential for either bodily harm or death, although it's not glaring and staring you in the face like a wolf would, that there were more opportunities or potential. I mean, hell, that, God, I can't remember his name, the black guy in the movie, who seemed like a really cool character and a nice guy. Yeah, it might have been. He just, what was it, apoxia? He just died of altitude and not being able to breathe well, and he just cast his chips in right then. So And
I'd be one
Otway,
of the lucky ones.
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go, and I mean, that's definitely the way to go, I think, but, out of everybody else that passed away, but, yeah, I mean, those who survived the plane crash, that was the first thing. Then there's the potential for freezing. I mean, there's, for the most part, until they got into the wooded area, I mean, that wind has to be whipping, it's already freezing cold. And then you're running on fumes with no energy from food, and you've got to escape a pack of killing wolves. So I would say that one, from the, um, you know, the total dynamic of all three would be the scariest for me.
What about you, Jake?
Well, I actually am going to go with Liza on this one. So I feel like, and probably for the reason I explained earlier, I think that the shark would be the scariest for me because the ocean being as like endless as it is when you're out there. I mean, it's just like I feel like that's the most hopeless situation. And yeah, I agree with you, Steve, that there's a lot of aspects to Alaska and where you're at and everything else, but um, I don't know, something about being on land makes me feel like I have options.
Yeah.
Something about the water makes me feel like I really don't. I can swim, and I'm not a bad swimmer, but I'm not the strongest swimmer, and I don't feel like I have the skills or ability. I feel like I feel like I'm a very inventive guy. I feel like I'm a very creative guy. I know how to fish with practically nothing. I did a lot of like survival style camping when I was younger, and I feel like in a situation like crawl, I'd be able to fashion some kind of weapon. I feel like in a situation like the gray, I'd be able to figure something out as far as a way to make fire or a way to fish or something. I feel like I'd have more options, and that would make me a lot more comfortable than being out in the ocean. I mean, what can you do when you're out in the ocean? If your boat sinks and you have nothing, I mean, I can't be like, oh, well, let me like find some string
Right.
and a hook and fish while I'm floating. You know, I
I
mean,
mean,
there's
if you're
not
out in
a
the ocean, you're toast. I mean, you're
yeah, I mean, there's not a lot there. There's not a lot of meat on the bone as far as like being creative and inventive. And I feel like I'm a very creative, inventive guy, and that's something that I actually feel is a very good that's a skill I have is being able to kind of figure things out. And I feel like I've got nothing. Like I feel like my greatest skill or greatest attribute in a survival situation would be taken away from me in an ocean scenario.
yeah.
Um,
And I want to step back and say that if you're dropping me from a helicopter in the middle of the ocean and Jaws is somewhere in the vicinity, yeah, that's a death sentence. There's no way around that. And leading up to that point, it's just a matter of when. So then your brain starts messing
yeah.
with you and everything. So, and I agree to your point because I'm a lot of the same way in that if I was in that basement, there's a multitude of different things that I could potentially utilize to either protect myself or to bust through the floorboards above, which didn't seem to have very many floor joists. Uh, so, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel as though I could have gotten out of that situation or ripped through the bricks that were in the side of the foundation or something. You know, all you got is
There's
just
an
a little bit.
opportunity for creativity. There's an
Exactly.
opportunity for some kind of solution.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's
And I just feel, yeah, and I mean, I'm sorry, Liza, I was just finishing my point, but I just feel like you don't have that in the ocean. I just feel like that's completely stripped away from you. Yeah, I think that the gray would be a very hard situation, and I agree with you, but you also got to think, though, man, like, let's take this scenario. Like, okay, we're on the boat in Jaws. Like, let's say this I'm going to stay on the boat's not going to sink. Okay, Jaws is not scary. I'm on the boat. I feel comfortable with that. I'm on the boat. I'm safe. But we take the scenario like in Jaws where that boat's going to sink, and we don't know what's going to happen. Now, in that scenario, though, you also got to think there's a lot of ways to die in the ocean, just like
Sure.
in Alaska, where,
Oh,
you know,
true.
you're talking about dehydration first and foremost. You have no drinking water. You can't drink the salt water. You'll dehydrate in no time. Not to mention the fact that the exposure, and I mean, I know you have the exposure as well in the Alaska scenario, but the exposure in the ocean, I mean, you have no protection from that. You can't get under a tree if you have sun out or you know even an overcast. I don't know. That to me. There's a lot of aspects, but I feel like that's And not only that, but I feel like if I had to die somewhere, I feel like the cold might be the most comfortable way to go. I've always been more of a cold guy. I think I'd rather freeze to death than drown. I don't
Yeah,
know.
drowning. I mean, obviously, nobody wants to drown and nobody wants to be in a fire, but I think those are the two worst ways to go. Just a drowning or being burned alive. I can't imagine.
I mean, I think freezing to death, at least the way it looks and at least the way it's been portrayed and everything I've seen, it kind of looks like you go a little peaceful. Like you kind of just freeze to death. Like you just done.
I'm sure certain nerves and faculties shut down, so your brain's only focusing on one thing, and that's breathing, more than likely. So keeping the oxygen going. So yeah, I mean there's I wouldn't want to be in any situation, obviously.
But you know what? I would pick all three of those over being put in the middle of friggin' Australia with nothing. Australia is the worst, man. Everything in Australia wants to kill you. I've said that before. I mean, literally, there is nothing on that continent that isn't like designed or out to kill you. Every insect, every snake, every friggin' kangaroos, man. Have you seen those dudes? You know, and dude, I've seen people get kicked off their damn bikes riding by a kangaroo, and they just start punching him in the face like he's trying to steal their lunch money.
Yeah, they try to drown dogs and take dogs out into the water
Yeah.
to friggin' try to drown them. There's videos of kangaroos with like big dogs pulling them into the water, just like putting them in a headlock.
Kangaroos are scary, man, and everything there is scary. And I cut Liza off. What were you about to say before, Liza?
Oh, I was just talking about like even the real life. The reason why I would definitely pick the wolves and alligators over just anything over the ocean is because like there was a girl. I think I can't remember. It was like she was in a plane crash in Colombia, and she just found a river and actually walked and saved herself. And then the true story that was based on Alive, like how they got out of there was they actually walked to a town. But the USS Indianapolis that was in Jaws and stuff, they had to wait to be rescued. Like,
Yeah.
and if a plane just didn't happen to see them, like they would have been gone or eventually eaten by sharks. So I think that you have in either of those scenarios, the Jaws scenario, you would have the least amount of control over, unless you just like, I guess, just absolutely avoided water at all costs.
Well,
But-
there's no way to put any distance between you
Yeah.
and the shark. There's no barrier,
The only
no boundary.
distance you get is what distance the shark allows.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, out of those three scenarios, I feel like I could survive crawl the best.
I
Yeah.
agree.
But I mean, like I said, I think that's just because of my ingenuity. Like I can come up with some shit on the fly if I need to. I mean, I'm good at that. And I was gonna say that one of the last things I was gonna say, then we're gonna wrap it up here because it's been a little long-winded. But thank you for being with us if you're still with us. Is that if you're interested in the USS Indianapolis, there's a movie with Nicolas Cage. I have it. It's called USS Indianapolis, and that's the true, well, you know, the Hollywood story of what happened that Quint was explaining in Jaws, and it is based on a true story. And Quint, as well as that movie, portrays that the scariest thing about that is that you're out there and there's a few hundred people that ended up in the ocean just floating, you know, waiting to be saved. And the scariest part is they're just sitting there watching their buddies and their you know fellow military men, if you will, just being dragged under one after another by sharks. Some getting bitten and bleeding into the water around you, and you're trying to not be in the blood. You're trying to not be where the sharks are. You're kind of in this situation where you're like watching all these people that you probably have grown pretty close to and care about getting dragged under the water, while still at the same time wanting to protect yourself and survive. And I mean, it's just like that situation has got to be so hard to be in.
And they
You
also
don't know-
had severe burns. Some
Yeah.
of them.
You know, the sunburns and the reflection off the water and everything. I mean, but I mean, in essence, you question: are you next? You got a sneaky suspicion that there is about zero chance I'm getting out of this, and a shark's going to take me at some point. When is that going to happen? And so that dread, that fear, that unknown is got to be unrivaled in a situation like that. And the fact that people had to go through that, and the people that did survive it, wow, what an amazing testament to just their, you know, fortitude and the ability to hold on to life.
I would be surprised if any of those survivors ever went in the water again.
Yeah, no kidding.
Talk about PTSD, man.
Yeah, but you hear about these people that, either a bungee cord breaks and they, off of a base jump or whatever else, and then they go do it again once they almost died, and they do it again, or a shark takes somebody's leg surfing and all they want to do is get back out surfing again, and like, I don't know. So there's some wild people out there, but yeah.
Not me, buddy.
I've never been a big ocean person anyway, but yeah, but especially after my situation that I had during that cruise, no thank you.
And that was what is it? Open water. That's how one of those movies happened too. Is they went under diving, and then the boat mistakenly miscounted, and the boat rode away without them. And I mean, and you experienced that, not quite on that level where you were probably that far out.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, holy crap, being in the middle of the ocean by yourself. I mean, oh my God, man, that to me
I've never been as scared in my life as when I ducked my head under the water, because I was taking photos of dude. And the crazy thing is too, is like, put me in my pool out back, okay, and drop I don't know, like a barracuda. I saw a barracuda there. I took a picture of it. I saw a big eel, like a moray eel, way down below me. I took a picture of it. For some reason, I didn't have that sense of like, hey, this is. But you put me in my pool with a moray eel, I'm going to be screaming like a baby girl. So I don't know why I didn't have that feeling. I mean, I'm out in their territory in this vast expanse of ocean, and they're 20, 30 feet below me, and the water was so clear that I could see the bottom of the water. So I could see there was like, there's a certain, it's like a spider crab. It's really, really cool, but got really long legs and everything. I took so many pictures of stuff, but the water, the depth of the ocean floor always remained about 20, 30 feet deep. And I might have gone another, I don't know, 20 or 30 feet with my head up, just kind of moving to the next spot. And at that point in time, I must have hit that shelf where it's all flat and then just starts to drop and go. Because when I looked down, man, I couldn't see anything. It was just black water.
You know what? That's another great point, and that's another thing that's very frightening about the ocean. And I can't believe I didn't even say this earlier, because you guys ever been on the beach? You go out in the water a little bit, and you're really just chilling in the water off the beach. You're not even that far out, but then all of a sudden you realize that, like, the people you're with are now way the hell over there.
Mm-hmm.
That current, man, it's like when you're out in the middle of the ocean, like, you lose all perspective of direction. Like, there is zero way that you out there know. I mean, maybe by the sun, but like, you don't know how far you've drifted. You have no idea. Because I mean, and I've been out in the ocean just hanging out, literally not even swimming, just standing out there and moving with the waves and stuff. And it's like, in 20 minutes, I'm friggin', way the hell down the beach from where my little, towel's set up. I mean, it's wild, man. I mean, that current and everything.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with my kids, and never when they were little, but when they were like late single digits, early double digits, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, in that range, you'd let them go out 5 feet in the water and make their little sand castles as the water comes out, and smash it when they come in, and you're standing there sitting with them, or you're with your spouse, like in my situation, and we're watching them and looking at them, just like you said, and they don't even need to necessarily be submerged in water to find themselves, 50 yards down that way, and it doesn't take long at all. And especially when you get a lot of people in the water and you're looking, you're like, where'd Lizzie go? And then she's way the hell down there, and I don't know how she got down there in 5 seconds. So
yeah.
It's wild, but
the ocean
great picks, guys. Awesome movies, and I'm looking forward to doing this again with something else.
That we are going to be doing another bracket here soon. We had a lot of fun with the bracket. I had a lot of really good feedback from the bracket, and what I'm talking about is our March Madness Horror Director Bracket. So much fun. I had a great time with that. I think you guys did too. It was a lot of fun talking about who we liked, why we liked them. kind of seeing who won based on all of the statistics and votes and everything. And we're gonna have another one coming up soon, and it is going to be 22 of the all-time greatest horror villains. All right, guys, it was great. Loved the show. I hope we got some people still watching. This one went a little long, but we'll be back soon. Take care.